why you're moving has to be strong and clear. So my elder one went to multiple schools in the US. So he was labeled as naughty, labeled as behavior, and emphasized a lot more on that. It was beautiful. We were having our fun. Suddenly it felt like, 24 hours is very, very long. Whereas in the US, that me and my husband consciously decided was not to say anything negative about it. Opens the doors for both Indian universities and abroad. Since I come from a non-corporate background, my startup journey was a struggle because India and here is friendships are very strong in India. The last 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th that my son picked up worked the best for him, which we never thought would work. I totally empathize. Move is not easy because I've just made one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Desi Return. Today, I'm really excited to have Miss Gayathri on our show. Miss Gayathri spent almost a decade in US before the family has decided to move to India. And after spending another decade in India, family has decided to move back to US. They're currently living in US right now. But this is an interesting story that I want to get into, especially when they moved, the kids are young, how they went through the adjustment, academics, and now they are in college. So trying to understand the journey, which a lot of people have questions about, and also understand the reasons to move back and why back to US again. And I'm really looking forward to this discussion and glad to have you with us today. Really appreciate you being with us today on our show.
Hey, thank you so much, Avinash, for having me here. So I think this is I have spoken on many stages regarding work and I've done corporate sessions, keynote speaking and all that, but this is my first talk where I'm sharing about my return to India journey, which is very, very close to my heart. So I'm super excited and grateful to you.
That's great. I'm really looking forward to our discussion now. So let's start a bit about your background. What made you to move to US initially, your professional background? Let's start with that.
Okay, so initially it's the same story that all of us have. I got married. So after 3 months, or I think 6 months into our marriage, my husband got an opportunity. He used to work for Deloitte and he moved to the US. So I also moved along with him. So nothing big story or anything there. We were very young. So we thought that exposure and the savings and living in a different country, we would learn, we would evolve, we would grow, and we moved.
Yeah,
Uh, First to UK. So in UK, we were there for about 1.5, 2 years, and then moved to US.
got it. And how was the life in UK and US?
So UK was good in certain terms, close to home. So I traveled very frequently to India. All that was fine. But when we moved to the US, it was more convenient because in UK we used to live in central London. So we used to take the subways all the time. So when we moved to the US, it was smaller home to a bigger home from taking the public transport to owning a car. So it had its own, differences, but we embraced both. We enjoyed both. UK, another biggest advantage we had was we traveled quite a lot across Europe. So every weekend we would visit one country and covered that up. So that was exciting, but US had its own beauty to it.
That's fantastic. So sounds like I think you are having a good time. Things are going smoothly. So what brought you to India after a decade?
Okay, I always had my one foot in India. So every year we would think we would go back, but that somehow moved to 10 years in the US. And so much, like my foot was always in India, so much so that I delivered both my kids in India.
Oh,
So
okay.
living in the US, I traveled to India for my deliveries, traveled in my end of my sixth month. So my elder one, I brought him back when he was 3 months old, and my younger one, I brought him back when he was 5 months old. So that calling of going back to India was always stronger. So we finally decided when my son was in grade four, he was completing grade four. We thought it is the good time to move back so he can start his grade five back in India, and we moved back to India, and there was no looking back at all.
Got it.
We thoroughly enjoyed.
Fantastic. So sounds like I think you always have the idea or interest to move back. I kind of subtly intended, like I think when your elder kid was in grade four, is there any trigger point, like why exactly at that point, and why not earlier or why not later? Anything that can help you in
Uh,
making that decision here?
See, there was no trigger point as such, but we thought the higher grades he moves on, it will be difficult for us to transition to Indian education system. But before that, Avinash, I would like to mention that my sons were homeschooled in the US.
Yeah.
So they were, so he went to multiple schools. We had our own challenges with the public school system. So we kind of pulled him and started homeschooling him. So we tried preschool. Preschool experience was really good. But then when he started kindergarten in one of the schools, I had some issues which we were not able to solve. Then we moved from one community to the other. We tried another school. The issues were repeating. So then finally, I didn't want to take that negativity anymore because see, as a parent, right? So whatever you hear from, and especially when you're very young, you're naive, you don't know a lot of things about parenting and all that. So I strongly believe that when the child was born, a mother in me was also born.
Yeah.
So I was I was matured as a wife, I was matured as a daughter-in-law, and other roles that I played. But as a mother, I was also born, right? So I
Yes.
made my mistakes. We realized certain things were not working. So we started homeschooling my son. That was the background to it. So when he was in grade four age, we decided to go back. One reasons behind that was the more delayed, it might be difficult for him to adjust. And my younger one was just stepping into the school. So we
Got
thought that would be why expose him to the American schooling system and then make a change. Everything put together, we thought that was a good moment. And we had bought a house in Bangalore. So we were getting the possession that year. So
got
everything was falling in place, and we thought, might as well move right now.
Got it. Makes sense. So maybe you can talk a little bit on the move itself, like the move to India from a planning perspective. I think you kind of touched about the reasons to move. Maybe something on a career, your profession, your husband's profession, like a career planning. If you can touch on that, that would be very helpful.
Sure. So Avinash, I was here. I was not working. I chose not to work because I wanted to take care of my kids. But I volunteered a lot.
Yeah.
Like I used to volunteer at the library. Was to volunteer with a couple of organizations. I taught Telugu to kids because that's my mother tongue. I volunteered at a school like Gurukul in Seattle. So that gave me a good idea of what my calling was. But I am a MBA grad, so I didn't pursue anything related to my MBA in the corporate side, but this experience of volunteering in Seattle gave me an idea or the clarity that early education space was my calling.
Got
Education space was my calling. And since I homeschooled my kids, I also had to learn about different curriculums and different ways to teach the child. That gave me again few insights into education, creating curriculum, moving from one pedagogy to other pedagogy, what works for my kiddo. So that gave me a good understanding. So what I thought when we were moving was to do something in the education space when I moved to India.
got
So, and I lived in the US in the era where H4s were not allowed to work.
Yes.
So that was another reason. When my kids grew up, I wanted to explore, but I didn't have a chance to explore because of the visa issues.
Got
So when I was moving back to India, that also gave me another excitement that I don't have any more of immigration issues to take care. There is no restrictions as such what I would like to do. So so that was one, and two, me and my kids moved to India. My husband stayed back in the US till I found a job. So he moved only after an year.
Got it. So there was a transition period to make sure that
Yes.
he finds the right job. And
Yes. So
if
we
you're
didn't want to take that risk of just moving back to India and then figuring out what he wants to do or anything. So he found a job and then we moved. He made the move. So for me, another advantage was I moved to Bangalore where my sister was living. So I had that family support
Yeah,
when my husband was not around with us.
makes sense. So if you can talk a bit about like your husband's career, right? For example, was he able to find the job from US itself, or did he take an internal company transfer, or he has to, come back and check the jobs in India?
So with him, he was working for a boutique consulting company in Seattle where they didn't have presence in India. So he had to look out for a different company.
Yeah,
So he started looking out for different companies. He, in fact, traveled once to attend an interview. They were aware that he was living in the US. So then once he got his offer, then he resigned and he moved back.
got it. So he was able to secure the job while living in US only. Got it.
So, but we had to take some time. So we were away for a year or so.
Got it. And any other things that you can talk about from a planning side, from a financial planning or logistics planning, anything that you can share from your journey?
Yeah, Binash, I can definitely share. See, certain things we planned was we took an entire container from the US to India.
Yeah,
Okay, so the reason was one, I'm familiar with this country because I lived here for 10 years. So I knew where I can buy certain things and when is the good time to buy. I wanted to make you, so well, we had about 6 to 9 months from the day we decided that we are moving and when actually the move happened. So I had a lot of time. So I could plan and I already knew where I'm moving to, right? Our house was under construction. So I kind of planned what I want to take. So my husband traveled to India in between for work. So he kind of did the financial analysis back in India for a similar kind of furniture or similar kind of setup. How much would it cost? And if we shipping from US
yes,
to India, how much would it cost? So one is that, and second, the ease of buying the furniture
yes,
or buying anything, right? So in India, I'm away from the country. So even when so I visited very frequently to home, but when you're visiting, your mindset is different. When you're moving and settling down, your mindset is different. So I never bothered about what kind of kitchen items are available or what kind of furniture is available in India. So if I had to go do entire my shopping back in India, I had to do my homework. I reach out to people, etc. But whereas in the US, I already knew where to buy, what to buy, when to buy.
yeah,
So we went ahead. We decided, though we were moving personally, we were not doing any internal transfer. So we were aware that we would be going through that expenditure of shipping everything from US to India. So we kind of were okay with that. So we shipped pretty much everything from US. So that way, what happened was I did not let go of any of my good things from here. So
yeah.
we carried everything.
Okay.
Okay. So one suggestion, if you're shipping, keep all your bills ready so that you will be able to show when you bought it and to the customs. So it's not brand new or anything. So we had 6 to 9 months. So my furniture was always shown as 6 months old furniture. So we tried it, we used it at in Seattle, and then we shipped it. So in case if we didn't like it, we could return it immediately and all that. So that was one thing. And two, always understand if you're moving with your family, if your kids have certain emotional attachment to certain things, I would always say take it with you.
Yeah,
It's okay even if you're spending a little more on your shipment, even if you're not deciding to do an entire container or few boxes can be shipped. That gives them the familiarity into the new place. So my both kids by then they were 8 and 5. Yeah, 8 and 5. Yes, 8 years and 5 years, close to 9 and 6. So they were voracious readers. They loved the library. They loved the children book collection here. So what I started doing was collecting as many books as possible before we made the move for them to create a small library inside our home. Because I can't have a public library. That is not in my control. But whatever is in my control, I wanted to create. So I used the thrift stores, I used the library sales. Wherever there were garage sale, I would go around, collect books, and keep them, and we shipped and we created a small library for them. So this is just an example. But if whatever they're attached to in the US, if you can take it, say we can't take a public park, but you can take a certain things and make their transition easier for children.
Got it. Yeah. No, thanks for
So
sharing that.
these are the things that I would say. But before that, your why you're moving has to be strong and clear. So decide, sit down with your family, talk to both of you have to be on the same page, like both parents have to be on the same page. If the couple's moving, both husband and wife have to be on the same page. Make sure you do your bucket list. So that's what we did. Like, what are our non-negotiables? What are our negotiables? And everything. So for me, my reasons, the strong reasons why I wanted to move back was belongingness, closer to family, and my kids having a extended family.
Yeah.
So my whys were very clear. So we decided to stay in Bangalore, which is close to my parents' house and my in-laws' house. So that kids get to visit grandparents and grandparents get to visit often.
Yes.
And two, belongingness. I always felt I'm an Indian. I will be recognized always an Indian. Even if I'm here, get my US citizenship, people are going to recognize me as an Indian. I will never become an American, even if I carry an American passport.
Yeah.
So those two were very, very strong for me. Family was the hook.
Got it. Cool. Anything on the financial planning side that you can talk about when you're moving? Like whether your house, your assets, anything?
Yeah, it's better to have a house and move because see, comparatively, I might be completely wrong also, but my experience, India is expensive.
Yeah. Cool.
Schooling, your home, your eating out, most of the expenditure that you go through in a month, except for your rental, India is expensive than living in the US. But at the same time, it again depends on your lifestyle that you pick up for yourself, right? So you can put your children in IB school, which is quite expensive. You can put your children in CBSE school and manage your finances, etc. But I would say have a rough idea about how much is going to be your monthly expenditure in India, how much of a runway do you have, and what kind of investments you want to keep in the US, and move out, like, your 401ks or whatever it is, right? So those things. And again, always look at your visa status as well when you're making that decision. If you're a citizen, you have a GC, then things change a little bit. But if you're on visa, it's a different plan altogether because you cannot come back once you make the move, right? For citizens, the option of coming back is always open.
Yeah, for sure.
So my understanding of the entire journey and returning back now also, the why is very strong.
Yes.
So anytime I feel down, I look back at why did I even make the move? So if that why is taken care, the rest all will fall in place.
Yes, makes sense for sure. The why has to be so strong. So maybe before going on to the next chapter of your life in India, there is one thing that I wanted to understand a little bit, if you're okay, is the experience of homeschooling. I know you mentioned a little bit about the experience on the public school because you being in the education sector, if you can explain your experiences, if you're open to that, from your public school and then the homeschooling in US, I think that could be helpful for some parents who are thinking about that option.
Yeah, sure. My kids had like my younger one didn't try any schooling,
Yes.
so I can't really talk about it. He was very small. But my elder one went to multiple schools in the US. So he was labeled as naughty, labeled as behavioral issues because he wouldn't stand in the line, he wouldn't listen to the teacher, he would finish his work faster, and he would look out for what else. He was fidgety and all that. So he was neither could be categorized into autistic or ADHD, nor he was on the regular side. So there were certain challenges that he was facing. So they couldn't put him on an IEP because there was no diagnosis, but he was in that phase of
Yeah.
life. So later we figured out that he was not challenged enough.
Yes. Yeah.
So he would just finish off his work, and then obviously he's just a 5, 6 year old, right? He
Yeah.
needs that physical movement, he needs that stimulation. So that was not provided. In fact, he would be seated aside in the classroom, he would be alone so that he will not disturb other children. That didn't go well with me.
Yes. Yeah.
So then we homeschooled, then we figured out a lot of things for him. So increased his physical activity, increased his, because I was handling him, I knew, suppose I would give him a worksheet on math, he was able to finish it faster. I would, quickly change it to a challenging, in the same concept, I would give him even more challenging one, etc. So meanwhile, I was also part of homeschooling groups in the US, which helped him to have that social interactions and company. And there was one school in Seattle, I exactly don't remember what term it was called as. So they provided certain classes for homeschoolers. So I enrolled him for pottery, I enrolled him for certain classes there. So where he had a formal classroom setup, but not for academic subjects, but for other extracurricular things. So that he gave him good social exposure. So one advantage that I see, because he was homeschooled, is he doesn't have this criteria of, okay, I will only mingle with my age group.
Yeah.
That was the biggest advantage he gained. He can interact and play with younger kids. He can talk to older children. He can play with older children. So that was something that I observed as a good advantage. And when we talked to our kids about we were moving back to India, the first question, the first thought that came to my elder son's head was, Amma, I would like to go back to school. So we tried to understand why, because whenever we visited India, the first question people would ask is, which standard do you go to? Which school do you go to? Do you like your school? That was a common thing. So he felt he would be more accepted if he went to school. So we thought we will give it a try, because I was not against school or anything.
Yes. Yeah.
We were not able to find the right fit for him. So we homeschooled him. And second, even I felt, because during that time, this was 12 years ago. Not even 12 years, yeah, 2015, 10 years ago when we
Yeah.
moved. India, that homeschooling concept was not very strong. Though I had met few families who were homeschooling, but we were not sure how things would be if he wants to take up boards or if he wants to take up competitive exams or anything. We were also not clear on that front. And he also came up with he wants to go back to school. So we decided to send him to school. So since he went, the younger one also automatically went to school.
No, thank you very much for sharing that. And it's so subtle, right? How these kids are so observant and, the questions that people are asking it so
Yeah.
that he was so particular that he wants to join the school. So let's talk
Yeah.
about your life in India. So how was the transition after a decade living abroad? The initial phase later, maybe you can talk about the overall experience and the journey.
See, Avinash, it was really, really good. I can't emphasize a lot more on that. It was beautiful. We were having our family close by, and so kids went back to school. Suddenly, it felt like 24 hours is very, very long. Whereas in the US, it was the other way around. I would wake up in a fraction of a second. I would feel like the day has come to an end because I was homeschooling them, I was running my house, I was volunteering, I used to take my kids everywhere I volunteered. So there were a lot of things. They were very small.
Yeah.
There was no house help, right? So suddenly it's the other extreme, like, where my house is taken care, my help is taken care, everything was taken care. I felt suddenly like, my days are very long. I was very peaceful because as a mother, when my kids, so they were very small, right? Especially my younger one, when he was 4, he would spill water, for example, which is
Yes.
very common for children. The first thought that would come in my mind is, oh my God, I have to clean this. So obviously that anxiety or whatever, that stress or that emotion, end of the day, it was passing on to children. Whether I say it or don't say it, they can absorb my emotions.
Yeah.
So that was, liberating for me. Okay, now I'm telling my kids it's okay. Let's clean it, or we can ask auntie to help us clean, right? So that was a big shift in my parenting. So I became calmer. I was spending a lot more time with my children than what I was doing in the US. So that was very helpful. My parents were visiting us. My both set of
Right.
grandparents were visiting. We were visiting. My sister lives in Bangalore. So kids got to know the extended family. All that was really good. And eventually I started my ventures. I thrived my ventures. So one of my ventures incubated at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. So I had the best mentors from the academia and as well as from the industry. We're recognized by Startup India. All that happened because of the support system that I had.
Yeah.
So even when I had to travel, I didn't really have to worry about my kids. See, for
Yes.
especially mothers, right? It is always there at the back of your head that you are ignoring your children. Guilt is very, very imbibed into our DNA.
Yeah.
If we are sitting at home, we are guilty that we are not doing anything. If we are working, we are guilty that we are not taking care of our children. So that kind of managed because of the good support system that I had.
Yeah.
So that way I was very fortunate to have somebody who took care of my kids like extended family, but at the same time I also took care of her very well. So it was always give and take, right? So that is one I would say. And second point that me and my husband consciously decided was not to say anything negative about India.
Okay.
Because what we speak, what we think is what our children are going to absorb. So for me, I have the love towards my mother country, but for them, India was not home until then. For them, US was home. That is where they grew up. That is where they saw the world. That is where they developed certain perceptions. So if I tell, oh man, it is so filthy, it is so crowded, it is so dirty, then they will also pick it up.
Yeah.
So we would crib among ourselves, but never showed it to children.
Yeah.
So we were always excited about certain things, and they also started being excited about those things. So we would say, like, come on, let's run and go play outside. So that was very interesting and very exciting for them because in Seattle, gloomy weather, dependent on me to go outside. Here, it's like, either if I'm busy, the other lady who's taking care of my kids can take them outside. So if I am available, they're super excited to come play with me. There are lots of kids. Again, the place you choose matters the most for all these. So if you choose a good, vibrant gated community, then everything is taken care. You are not driving your children for classes. You are not worried about safety and security. Children can go out and play by themselves. So for them, those things were very, very exciting, where it's like, without, a lot of organizing or play date, they're just walking out and playing.
Yes.
So what else does a child want? Child doesn't know whether it is dirty, it is poverty country or a third world country or anything.
Yeah.
Children have a very small world. If you can make that world happy, play is something that comes very naturally for children. That is how they were born, right? So they are not born for super good infrastructure or like, great things available for them.
Yeah.
That doesn't really matter to them when their instinct of being a child is taken care. That is where I worked on.
Yeah. It's a very good point. I mean, I really appreciate you kind of highlighting that, like, how you and your husband have made it conscious decision not to talk. I mean, I think it's a subtle point, but it's an important point. Thanks for highlighting that. I really appreciate it. Uh,
So
so
that's how my journey in India was. So we were happy. But another thing, it's the family that matters. Your family dynamics matter with your extended family. I know a lot of women who moved after me. I have talked to them, but they couldn't sustain because of toxic in-laws or whatever reasons, right? They ended up moving back to the US.
yeah,
I mean, Hutchcole for me, that was not the case.
yes,
But again, relationship takes time to build. It comes from both
both.
efforts from both set of children and the parents. So we had our own adjustments. We had our own, compromises to make. But again, the why was very strong.
Yes, that's the crucial one. So let's talk about, I think, the children's adjustment, right? Someone who has been in the homeschooling, like which curriculum you have selected and how did you select, and then the journey, especially now they would be in the college. So, trying to understand
My elder one is in college, younger one is in high school.
high school. Yeah. So if you can talk through their journey, like how they adjusted languages, the curriculum and so on, I think that would be very helpful.
Okay, so Avinash, as usual, whoever is going from US or any country going to India, the myth is that IB is the curriculum to go for. So I also followed that race. So we ended up with an IB school for my son when we moved to India.
Yeah.
So within a year into IB school, I also understood that IB is more. Oh, so this was back then, right?
Yes.
2015. So things have changed right now, but so 2015 when we moved, I kind of understood IB is not for kids who want to settle down in India.
Yes.
So most of the kids were talking about going abroad for their undergrad itself. So slowly, then I also figured out that IB school kids are a little affluent, luxurious, and all that. So because of various reasons, I pulled my son out of IB and moved him to CBSE. So I would like to highlight this point for all the parents who are considering and feeling petrified about CBSE. I would like to bring one point here. So CBSE, yes, there is rote learning and languages are difficult, but at the same time, it opens the doors for both Indian universities and abroad. No abroad university will stop a child taking a SAT and coming to US.
Yeah.
So when you have younger children, like when my son was in grade 5, I was not sure whether he will come to the US for a higher education or he would prefer going to Indian colleges. So we were not aware, right? Grade 5 is very, very young to even to think about what. So I didn't want him to be like, certain doors to be closed for him. So
Yeah.
we moved him to CBSE at one reason. Second, CBSE is way affordable than IB. So for me and my husband, we only didn't think about affordability. We could have afforded, but we could have made certain compromises on other things and continued with IB school till 12th. But what cost and what was our priority? So think, why do you want to continue with IB school?
Yeah.
So if that why is clear, then it's okay to spend so much. But don't fall into that trap. Everybody is going for IB school and get into that school and later realize, see, in Bangalore, on an average, an IB school costs 6 to 7 lakhs per year for a middle school. And for high school, it is on an average 12 lakhs. If you have two kids, so 25 lakhs per year you have to keep aside for their education. It is only school now. Then comes extracurricular activities. Then comes your tuition, support tuitions, etc. Right? So I didn't want to fall in that trap and feel pressurized for the other thing. So, and another reason, CBSE gives you that openness for both. And for me, luckily, my next door neighbor in Bangalore, her son finished CBSE and he was in US.
Got it. So
for
that's
his
a data
benefit.
point. Yeah.
And there were a lot of stories that I started hearing. Then we made the shift. Okay, CBSE and IB, the knowledge wise, there are some gaps. I agree on that. I will not deny that. So what we did as a family was the extracurriculars that we picked up some things that will bridge the gap that the CBSE was leaving for our kids. So they did sport, they did music outside, they did a lot of, so there was a program called communication for an year. So they did that. They were part of Toastmasters. They were part of some, public speaking sessions, etc. So that's how we kind of balanced it out.
Got it.
And these days, metros have a lot of options for kids. And since I was also into education, maybe that was easier for me to, figure out what options were there for our children. So by grade 7, my son was in CBSE. So he completed his till grade 12 in CBSE, and he wrote Indian competitive exams, and he got into one of the top colleges in India.
Fantastic. So maybe the transition from a language, right, for your elder son, especially in grade 6 and grade 7 when he switched,
Yeah.
you can talk about the second language, third language, and how he cope up with those requirements.
Yes. So for parents, even if you have an iota of idea that you're moving to India, get them started with Hindi. So which I did not do a lot because I was not very good with Hindi, but I took him to Gurukul where Hindi was introduced to him when we were in Seattle. So when I moved back, he was in IB, so he picked up Spanish. So later we moved him to CBSE. Hindi was mandatory for him. So what we did was we hired a one-to-one tutor. So she started off with AIE. So within 3 months, he finished off Barkadi and all that. So what I'm trying to say is, if you know that you are moving, or even if you are not moving, having another language in their head is always good for their brain development.
Yeah.
And knowing one language from India will give them some emotional attachment to the country, right? So, two, if you are moving, that will help them academically as well. So, get a one-on-one tutor. Don't go for group sessions because they will know how to work with the child. So that's what worked for me. Group might work for somebody, but it worked for me. So I also closely worked with the teacher. So right from LKG to grade 6, we finished in 2 years.
Got it.
Okay.
That's the
So,
transition that he
and
has until grade 7.
yes, yes. And another thing, for if you're picking up CBSE or state board or any of it, you will have to be smart enough to teach your child how to attempt the paper. So for my son, he was coming from a non-Hindi speaking background. So writing was a challenge. And already for him, writing is a challenge, whether English or anything, writing is a challenge. So Hindi was even more challenging. So I sat with the teacher, looked at the previous year board papers. So you kind of understand that 40 marks, so 100 marks paper mein 80 is your written, 20 is your internals. So work on that 20. So at least you will get 16, 17.
Yeah.
Right? So in 80, 40 marks is your grammar, 40 marks is your theory. So 40 marks grammar is easier.
Yeah.
So work 40 by 40 you work on. So you're 16 plus 40, you're already passing.
Passing, yes. Yeah.
So it's quite easy, but you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy how to approach the exams. So his teacher was very good. So even for the questions, right, she taught him half of the question you copy and
Rephrase it.
write your answer. So at
Exactly.
least half a mark you will get
Yes.
instead of 0.
Yes.
So multiple halves will give you 4, 5.
Yeah. For sure.
So you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. That's all. The fear is something is not going to help.
Yeah.
I keep reading online, oh my God, my kid has to learn Kannada if I have to go to Bangalore. My kid has to learn Hindi if I have to go to Bangalore. But see it as you're adding 2 languages to their kitty.
Yeah.
So don't worry about marks. When they get 60, also appreciate them. So the stress starts because the children are so scared for languages because parents are expecting that kind of marks. If you can give that ease, if you can help your child and don't talk about marks, but keep doing it, you will thrive. But at the same time, I'm not saying you will get 98s and 99s, which is the standard norm in India. I'm not aiming at that.
Yes. Got it. So let's, I think, switch gears a bit and understand about your professional journey, like, thriving that entrepreneur role, I think, giving that flexibility. So if you can talk a little bit about that, I think that would be helpful.
So, Avinash, when this comes, right, I proudly say you might have met mothers who say that they don't have a career because they became a mother, because they wanted to take care of their children and all that. But I proudly say I am a entrepreneur today because I'm a mother. Because whatever I do is based on what experiences both my kids have given me. So because of the homeschooling experience, and my son struggled a bit in reading, so I learned how to teach him to read. So that is my literacy based curriculum.
Okay.
Phonics, spelling rules, how to teach a child how to comprehend work, how to write on their own. So my entire curriculum is something, the foundation is something that I did with my elder son to teach him how to read on his own. Okay, so I started off uh, as a phonics teacher. So I used to teach phonics to children. Then eventually, fast forward 4 5 years, that company became a education consulting company where we worked with schools, training their teachers, enhancing their curriculums, finding what are the gaps that the teachers have and filling in those gaps for workshops. Then we had multiple programs. So in the quest of, searching to bring the balance, what the CBSE was leaving the gap. So even if I couldn't find one for my kids, I developed one.
Yeah.
So both my kids were part of my classes, and we would, have other kids also join the classes. So that's how Buzzing Bees grew into an education consulting company. So I worked with about 3,500 families so far through different trainings, workshops, and few corporate sessions. So, and I kind of realized when my son was 5 6 is when I realized whatever I'm doing with my parenting is not the right way to approach. So I read a lot on parenting, how to become a better parent. So then I got myself certified as a parent coach. So I extend those services through Buzzing Bees. And later, our phonics program, English enrichment program, became so strong and so popular in Bangalore. I had to start Literacy Bees. That I pitched it with I am Bangalore, and I got incubated there. So that became a standalone company by itself, where we have our own workbooks to teach, English to children. Because unfortunately, fortunately, English is treated as a language of, is not treated as only a language, it is treated as sign of intelligence.
Hmm.
So when you speak well, people look at you as you're intelligent. When you don't, I don't know why it is only for Indians, right? I have seen many Chinese who have translators who don't speak that great English, but they're still
Yes.
valued, respected. But when it comes to Indians, we kind of see the other person as the first impression that we have is on their language. So how do your language get better? When you read better, you read, when you understand better, how do you understand? The way you read makes the difference. So that's where the whole literacy bees was born. We have our own workbooks, we train teachers, we have our classes for English enrichment. Then we have board games that we will be launching soon in English.
Got
So
it.
that's a bit about my journey. So nothing was planned, everything happened very, very organically. And that's why I always say when you don't have constraints, when you don't have restrictions in your head, you move forward very freely with
Yes.
a free thought.
Yeah. So
There was no
congratulations on
mission,
this.
no vision, nothing. Like, in fact, when I started, I didn't even know the name. So eventually we named it.
Yeah.
So then we had registered, then, so all things took a
Congratulations
good,
on the success, and I'm sure, I think,
thank you.
it's the word of the mouth. We will have the link so that I think people can check out and reach out, if they have any
Sure.
questions and all that stuff. So I know we have talked about a lot of positives, right? A lot of, thriving your professional, kids enjoying, the extended family, the support system. Any struggles in the last 10 years, living in India, anything that you wanted to highlight?
Definitely, Avinash, commute is a struggle. Traffic jams are a struggle. And since I come from a non-corporate background, my startup journey was a struggle because I didn't have the big names as IITs or, I'm not an ex-Googler or uh, I am MBA grad or I didn't have I'm not from a big corporate experience back in the US or anything. I'm just a mother. Right. So that was a struggle, but we had to see there are many times I fell flat on my face, but the only difference was I woke up, I cried, then wiped my tears and moved on. So I will not say everything was easy, but God gave me the courage to pick myself back. And two, with family, yes, kids struggled a bit. When we were in Seattle, if it was sunny that day, even after dinner, we would just walk or drive down for a ice cream. So I remember Cold Stone was their favorite. And when Cold Stone opened in Bangalore, I was like, let's go there. Like, it's okay, Amma, for one ice cream, we don't want to travel for half an hour. It's okay, we'll let go the ice cream.
Yeah.
Right. So that is an emotional struggle that all of us went through. And two, I think the work culture was different for my husband. I don't know much into it. He would be a better person to talk about. But yes, it was a compromise on the work culture, long hours of working, etc. Right. So those were the struggles. And then financially also, right? So certain times it used to feel like what you're saving is what you're earning.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that adjustment had to be made. So it's all mindset changes that we needed to work on. So my kids were, getting frustrated when we would get stuck in traffic. So then we created a small, busy corner in the car. So where I had kept some art and craft and small books and some things for them to do. So whenever we get stuck, they would just pick up something and create something, drew something, or played a game. I had to engage them like mindfully I had to engage them to keep them busy in the car so that they're not frustrated. And sometimes they would get nauseated because of sitting in the closed environment for a long time. Uh, so we planned our days well that way. So we would not go to mall or anything during weekends because I had my flexible hours. So that is why
Yeah.
I say, your experiences depend on a lot of factors because I was not working full time. So I could have the flexibility to take kids when they wanted. And so initially we were renting a place and then we got our home ready and we moved. So till we moved, we were in a much smaller place. So that was a big compromise for them from
Yeah.
single family home in the US to an apartment in India. So that was a compromise. And kids, right? So my kids would stand near the park forever, waiting for their turn.
Yes.
They would never get their turn. So eventually they learn
Yes.
how to manage.
Yeah.
So during that phase, what I did was only empathize with them. I never complained. I never said this is how India is, this is how children are, or anything of those lines. So we would be like, it feels bad, right? I know you stood in the line for a long time. So what else can we do? So then they started taking their book, so they would read while they were waiting for their turn, so that their energies are, diverted into some other
Yeah.
than frustration, right? So that is when actually somebody in our community asked me, how are they hooked onto their books? And that's how my classes actually started.
Yeah. Got it. So let's, I think, understand the strong why to move back to US, right? I
Oh,
think
yes.
sounds like the life is going great, thriving profession, kids are doing fantastic, the support system, you got systems in place to navigate some of the challenges that, come along the way in any place.
Yeah.
So what changed and why back to US now?
So there are multiple reasons. So we saw what my elder son went through with JE, the IIT entrance. It was rigorous, very, very competitive, very, very anxious journey. Okay, so for him, for us, and for everyone. But he finally made it to one of the good colleges, though not IITs. He made it to BITS Pilani.
Yeah.
He was very happy. Then comes my younger one. So till the last 4 years, the focus was on the elder one because he was going through a tough journey, which he picked up for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, so then comes my younger one and says he doesn't want to take the traditional path. He wants to do something where he can build robotics and he can build. So he was not very clear as well. But one thing we understood was he is not keen on picking up, the traditional path, engineering or medical.
Yeah.
So that was one reason. And second, my elder son mentioned that he would like to finish his undergraduation and go to the US for masters.
Yeah.
So that's when we kind of understood that, maybe both kids will be going towards the US.
Yeah.
So during all this discussion, my husband he is into AI innovation. So, and last year is when the AI boom happened. And during that time, his company wanted him to move. So there were three big chunks that was kind of like, showing, of course, through my fit, through my tantrum, I didn't want to move because everything was going good. And so my husband moved first. So initially I moved,
Yes.
then he joined. So now this time he moved, and later after 6 months I joined. And so that was our why for kids education. So because my younger one wanted to take a conventional route, we thought it's better for him to do high schooling here and figure out what he wants to do. Because see, India is really good with the traditional path. If you're taking engineering or medical, the colleges, the amount of academic rigor the children go through, the exposure the children get is really good. But if you're taking a non-conventional path, it's still evolving. So I wouldn't say it is not. It is definitely better than how it was when we were studying and now how it is. So all put together, those three whys, we thought we will make the move. But I had to figure out my strongest why to move back, because for me, yes, they are my world, but there is a world for me as well. Right. So otherwise, I will not be happy. As a person, if I'm not happy, then my family is not going to be happy. Then there is a lady called Dr. Shefali in the US. So she she is the OG of conscious parenting. So then I decided, like, I will do her 1.5 year program when I'm here, make use of my time here in the US. So I have enrolled for her level 1 of certification. Then I will complete the entire certification when I'm here. So that was my why when I figured out my why I wanted to move back. But it was like, we never ever thought in our wildest dreams that I will move back.
Yeah, got it. So,
But life and God always have different plans, right?
yes.
But I strongly believe that it is for our good.
Yeah. So let's touch about, I think, couple of things. I think your younger one who did, most of the schooling in India, how was his adjustment in the high school in US?
He was very happy because it's very easy.
Yeah.
Because academic rigor in India is high.
Yeah.
Right? But we also struggle culturally to an extent. But thanks to YouTube and other media exposure among children, he kind of knew what he was getting into. He was aware of a lot of things that kids are speaking. So he knew something about,
Yeah.
American culture and, shows and things like that. Because see, now it is one world. It's
Yeah.
no more like how it was when I moved to the US for the first time, I didn't know what yogurt was.
Yeah.
For me, it was always curd.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Mexican food was.
Yeah.
Right. So for them, it is not as challenging as it was for us when we moved to the US. But he had his own challenges, making friends. See, one thing I have observed with kids back in India and here is friendships are very strong in India.
Yeah.
Here, it's more on the surface level, or maybe that's our experience, but it's more surface level. People are competing among each other. They don't share a lot of things. But in India, we didn't come across that things. My kids had beautiful relationships built with their, students in the school. They exchanged notes. They studied together. Though my son was writing the one of the most toughest competitive exams in the world, not even in India, right? JEE
Yeah.
is the top fourth or fifth toughest competitive exam. But both the kid, his friend and he would exchange notes. They would study together. They would exchange. So they both went to different coaching centers. So they would exchange their question papers to each other. So they get to solve more model papers, etc. Right? So that I haven't seen in the US.
Okay. And regarding your ventures, like you're still managing them while in US. So yeah, got it.
No, but I'm losing some clients. So because out of sight is out of mind. But let's see how
Yeah.
it turns out here. I'm starting my classes soon in the US. So coming again back to where I started in Bangalore. So we are starting our classes soon, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Okay. Cool. Any advice or any topic that we haven't covered that you want to bring up, that you want to share any future aspirants? Yeah.
So yeah, so for families who are moving, right? So I would uh, tell them, don't go by popular opinions. Do your research, whether it is school or whether it is home or whether it is going back to which city, all that. See, work on your why. If that is clear, then all the other things will fall in place. So do your homework. Spend a lot of time on understanding the different boards available for schools. Pick what works for your children. So I would suggest do your homework, and it's okay even if you have to change schools. Every time you can't be holding on. If your child is in third grade, you can't see like, yes, this school offers still grade 12, but you never know if the priority changes, if the personality of the child changes, and then you might have to move to a different school. See, both my kids never went to same school
Yeah.
because of the different personalities, different priorities. What worked for one may not work for the other, right? So all schools are good. Don't go for the best. All schools are good. You see what works for your child.
Yeah.
The last ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th that my son picked up worked the best for him, which we never thought would work.
Hmm.
And I give complete credit to that school for where my son is today.
Okay. Yeah.
But people have hatred towards that school. But it worked for my son,
Yes. I think it's
right?
finding the
Huh.
right one for your kid, like for
Yeah,
his learning style, and yeah. Hmm.
right. And two, if you're moving, I see a lot of families because of the visa constraints and job issues, you're moving back to India. That may not be the choice that you made, right? But you're forced for that. But embrace the change. Now, I bring in this what is in your control, what is not in your control,
Yeah.
right? So what is in your control, you change. What is not in your control, don't try to change. Don't try to beat yourself up. When you are in that negative state or not so happy about the move, it quickly transfers to your children. What mistake they did, they grew up here. They didn't ask you to bring them here. We were the one who exposed them to the US, and now we are the one who are the reason for them to go back to India. So if you are in that state of mind, it quickly transfers. So I totally empathize. Move is not easy because I've just made one. Right. So for me, from US to India didn't take time at all. We were day one, we were happy. Eating all the roadside food, enjoying the health, all friends and family being there. But from Bangalore to US took a lot of time for me to even accept it.
Yeah.
But the change happened only when I accepted, yes, I moved.
Yeah.
But what now? I stopped comparing. Like here, I have to do my chores. Everybody does that. It's
Yeah.
not only me, right? So everybody does that. So initially, it took a while for me to even cook one full meal, to do my dishes.
Yeah.
So every time I felt, oh my God, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Now I question, why am I here?
Yeah.
What is God trying to teach me? What is the lesson I can take forward? So first 3 months was all crying, all downfall. I was there. Where am I now? The Women's Day came when I moved. So Women's Day was the busiest week for me.
Yeah.
Keynote speaking, guest speakers, attending all the networking sessions. Here I'm washing dishes. So
Yeah.
it's not easy. right? Especially for the women, it's not easy, but accept it, embrace it if you are moving out of no choice. Then you will be clear, your mind is clear, you're still. The water in your brain is still, then you will be able to think. When there are ripples in the water, you'll never find the clarity. You'll never be able to think right.
Got it. Yes. So if you're open, I think one quick question from my side, like on the move back, what's the immigration status is on the H1, H4 again, like moving
We
back?
moved on L1.
L1. Got it. Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. Cool. So thank you very much, Miss Gayatri, for taking the time and sharing your story. I mean, I enjoyed the conversation. A lot of, some tidbits that you have shared, which is very, very helpful. Like, I really enjoyed. And then there are so many nuggets that people can take on. It's the mindset, the strong why, how you act before the kids, the parenting, education, some popular opinions. There are a lot of nuggets that people can take on and make this transition smooth and successful. So really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story, and good luck with everything with your new certification and the new entrepreneur journey in US. I think God has different plans, and I'm sure there is a reason, why these things happen,
Yeah.
and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much, Avinash. You took back me to 20 years of my life and cherishing those memories and lot of mistakes that we have made. But end of the day, you are who because of the mistakes you made, right? So you
Yeah.
change, you adapt, you evolve. And thank you so much for having me over. And if anybody needs any support or any guidance, I'm always there to talk. So we can always, soundboard on the decisions you are making, because I've been there, done that, and both. So I call this as US 2.0 journey. That was my US 2.1.0 journey. So I'm also excited to see what future lies in, what God is going to give me in this 2.0. But thank you so much, Avinash, for having me over. Always grateful.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And thanks again, and have a great day.
You too. Bye.